WDRB News.
No stone was left unturned.
More than 2 years after the police raid that killed Breonna Taylor.
The Justice Department has charged 4 current and former Louisville Metro Police Department officers related to Ms. Taylor's death.
A decision today. Some say it brings Taylor's death closer to justice than ever before.
I've waited 874 days.
Taylor's family filled with emotion.
Y'all learning what we've been saying, what's the truth.
Breonna Taylor should be alive today.
It's been more than 2 years since the police raid that killed Breonna Taylor, and today federal prosecutors charged 4 current and former LMPD officers for civil rights crimes.
3 are accused of lying about the warrant that led to the raid. Former Detective Joshua Janes charged with conspiracy and falsifying records.
He's accused of lying about verifying the location on the warrant, specifically using the post office to find out whether a drug dealer was receiving packages at Taylor's apartment.
Officer Kelly Goodlett is also charged with conspiracy. Prosecutors say Goodlett and Janes met in a garage to get their story straight about the warrant. Goodlett was charged on information, which usually means she plans to plead guilty.
And Kyle Meany is the sergeant who oversaw the situation. The U.S. Attorney General accuses him of signing off on the warrant, knowing it had false info and lying to the FBI about it.
We allege that the defendants knew their actions in falsifying the affidavit could create a dangerous situation, and we allege these unlawful acts resulted in Ms. Taylor's death.
Finally, former officer Brett Hankison charged in the raid itself. He's accused of blindly shooting into Taylor's apartment.
Prosecutors call it unjustified force that shocks the conscience, but you may remember Hankison was acquitted on those charges in state court.
The Breonna Taylor case left a scar of mistrust on Louisville, and not many weeks go by without her name back in the news.
WDRB's Valerie Chin takes us step by step and the look from Taylor's death to today's federal charges for officers and the arrests.
March 13, 2020. LMPD raids Breonna Taylor's apartment on Springfield Drive.
Walk straight back, girl.
Taylor is shot 5 times. Kenneth Walker fires 1 shot and hits Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly in the leg. May 16th, a U.S. Postal Inspector in Louisville tells WDRB that LMPD did not use his office to verify that a drug suspect was receiving packages at Taylor's apartment. That was one of the factors listed in officers' request for a no-knock warrant for her home. May 20th, the Breonna Taylor investigation is turned over to Attorney General Daniel Cameron and the FBI. May 28th, the first night of protests hitting the streets of downtown Louisville. June 1st, Mayor Greg Fisher fires LMPD Police Chief Steve Conrad after learning that police officers did not record body camera footage of the fatal shooting of David McAtee, a black man in West Louisville. His death inflamed community tensions about police brutality after nights of consecutive protests over Taylor's death. June 10th, Detective Joshua Janes, who applied for a no-knock warrant on Taylor's apartment, is placed on administrative reassignment. June 23rd, Detective Brett Hankison is fired from LMPD. Acting LMPD Chief Robert Schroeder says Hankison blindly fired 10 rounds into Taylor's home. September 23rd, a Jefferson County grand jury indicts Hankison on 3 felony counts of wanton endangerment. December 14th, 2021, at a Louisville Police Merit Board hearing, former Louisville Metro Police Detective Miles Cosgrove said he regrets fatally shooting Taylor, but he knew, quote, without a doubt, that his and Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly's lives were in danger if he didn't return fire coming from a shadowy figure in her apartment.
It's hard to describe something that happens in like a blink of an eye.
Cosgrove is not part of the federal case. The FBI determined he fired the shot that killed Taylor. December 21st, a Kentucky task force on search warrants recommends additional training for officers, an electronic database, and tracking zip codes where search warrants are executed. March 3rd of this year, Hankison was acquitted on state charges. And that brings us to August 4th. 4 former and current Louisville police detectives are charged in the Breonna Taylor raid for federal civil rights violations. Valerie Chin, WDRB News.
The city of Louisville paid Breonna Taylor's family $12 million to settle a wrongful death case. Well, the police killing of Breonna Taylor threw LMPD under a federal microscope. Was it a botched raid or a bigger issue? That's what the ongoing pattern and practice investigation by the Department of Justice will decide.
Our team has been on the ground conducting interviews with stakeholders, members of the police department, engaging in ride-alongs, reviewing documents and data.
Tonight at 11, what happens when the investigation is complete? Plus, we hear from someone who spoke with the FBI about LMPD 4 times and the moves the city made to get ahead of this federal report.
Today's announcement did not come as a surprise to Breonna Taylor's family. Family members say this has been part of a 2-year journey. This morning, a phone call from the nation's capital provided some answers and justice they've been praying for.
Earlier today, I spoke with the family of Breonna Taylor.
I can't think of a Justice Department being this committed to civil rights since Robert Kennedy and the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King and John Lewis. So this is a historic day on every level.
Shortly after the indictments were announced, Breonna Taylor's mother, family, and attorney spoke at Jefferson Square Park in downtown Louisville. A large group of supporters also showed up. The mood was mostly celebratory, but there was also a lot of emotion. Tamika Palmer, Breonna Taylor's mother, and her attorneys had some harsh words for Attorney General Daniel Cameron.
You don't deserve to be where you are, and you need to go. And if we don't continue to eat him, one of y'all's on the menu next. He was dead wrong.
Yes, dead wrong.
It didn't start with him, but he had the right to do the right thing, and he chose not to.
The federal government had the guts to do what Daniel Cameron did not have.
Yeah, amen.
The malfeasance that the Kentucky Attorney General's office showed in this case shows that his political career needs to end now.
Attorney Lenita Baker, who you saw there, says this is an important step, but it's not over, and they will continue fighting for justice for Breonna Taylor.
Well, dozens of people who spent months calling for justice in Breonna Taylor's names in the streets of Louisville are now also calling for Kentucky's Attorney General to be held accountable.
I want to also thank Daniel Cameron for showing us who you are and that you can't be trusted to do your job for the state of Kentucky. We know who to stand with at the election booths.
Kentucky Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression rallied in Jefferson Square Park this evening. They were joined by people who protested after Taylor's death. Several speakers expressed relief after the announcement by the Department of Justice on charges. They also pledged to continue fighting for justice and equality.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron responded to today's charges in a series of tweets. He defended his office's investigation. Cameron said his office had the task of investigating the officers serving the warrant and if they were criminally responsible for Breonna Taylor's death. He goes on to say a grand jury brought charges against Brett Hankison and was proud of the work his office did. Hankison was ultimately acquitted of wanton endangerment charges. In another tweet, Cameron also said it's important people understand the state investigation wasn't the same as the federal investigation.
LMPD Chief Erica Shields did not speak on camera about today's charges, but she does say she is in the process of terminating Officer Kelly Goodlett and Sergeant Kyle Meany, 2 of the 4 indicted today, the 2 still on the force. An LMPD statement says, quote, "It is critical that any illegal or inappropriate actions by law enforcement be addressed comprehensively to build police community trust."
He wasn't charged today, but he was shot by Taylor's boyfriend during the raid. Tonight at 11, Jonathan Mattingly discusses the warrant, what he says 2 of the officers arrested today should have done differently. For all of today's coverage and from the last 2 years, head over to our website, WDRB.com.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
All right, Mark Weinberg's tracking the chances for flooding in our area in the coming days.
Yeah, we've got another flood watch. This has been something that we've seen a lot of here over the last couple of weeks. One thing to note, by the way, the rain has erased drought from our area. The U.S. Drought Monitor assessment came out today. There was not a single county within our area under drought. 3 weeks ago, we had severe drought in the area. We've got a flood watch. including most of the area. So the additions here have been to the southern part of our area. Still not included Lawrence, Jackson, and Jennings County, but our southeast counties were added to the watch. This is until 8 p.m. tomorrow. I want to show you what we have ongoing right now. This is some light rain in Bardstown. We've got some steady rain here over much of Jefferson County right now, including downtown Louisville. We've got rain along 64 from Leopold to around Santa Claus, Indiana. And in motion, you can see the upper level low spinning over the Evansville area. This, as all the data shows, is going to be able to generate more showers and thunderstorms in our area. So Louisville right now sits at 79 with a dew point of 71. And I want to briefly show you advanced tracks so you can get a sense of when that steadier rain picks up. This is 11 p.m. and you can see it's still spotty through about 2. But you definitely see a sense of the data showing an increase of thunderstorms as we go towards daybreak. And this very well could include your morning commute. Maybe an extra 15 minutes to add to that commute is not a bad idea. I want to walk you through the Friday probability of rain and how much in the next 24 hours in 10 minutes.
All right, Mark, we'll check back with you soon. Thanks. More than 100 new jobs coming to E-Town, the group looking to make Kentucky home. Plus.
So I did everything I could to stay involved with the game, whether it be scorekeeping, whether it be groundskeeping, whether it be playing the organ.
The Bats' 60-year-old rookie just couldn't stay away from the game. The motivation that keeps Al Greener coming back to the ballpark every day.
And our neighbors in eastern Kentucky starting to rebuild after historic flooding. The one simple reason the community will come back stronger than ever.
The water is receding across eastern Kentucky, but dry land is just the beginning of a massive rebuild. WDRB's Conroy DeLuche and Zach Crabtree show us stories of survival, grief, and grit.
The worst of it, the most devastating and deadliest flood certainly of my lifetime.
I'm 64-year-old and I ain't never seen nothing like that.
I was sitting out here looking at my grass and was floating 10 minutes later.
Or what we thought we had, it's gone.
We will need your help. Everyone who can hear me, please do what you can.
And I hope the world sees not just the devastation, but sees strong people.
Thousands across the mountains, from main streets to hollers, survived the early morning floods.
But I had my head above water. You know, that's all that matters. Took them about 2 hours to get to my wife, and then about another hour to get to me.
Mom's like, let's just go. She's like, we can replace everything here, let's just go.
Before the National Guard choppers flew in, neighbors jumped in the rising creeks and raging rivers.
I watched my neighbors commandeer every kayak, jet ski, any motorized boat, and every life jacket they could find.
We got his canoe, somebody found a shovel, the guy from the fire department had a rope.
Saving lives before sunrise, until finally the storm subsided, revealing miles of destruction.
I ain't a moving living here no more. That's for sure.
Doug Sizemore barely escaped the rising river with his mother-in-law.
5 hours, it raised 50 feet probably, I'd say.
Half his property on the hillside washed away, leaving behind a bunch of bricks and destroyed equipment.
All that work for nothing, you know. Crazy.
He returned alone to the home, where last year he found his wife dead in their living room.
That nerve where we got married, I put that thing on her leg. I just ain't many pictures, I'd say. Crazy, you lose your wife and you lose your own home.
And it got up to about the tires of the Blazer.
Near downtown Jackson in Breathitt County, Gary Deaton returned to his dad's old home. Flooded for the second time in less than a year.
Come in, again, be careful here and over here. The subfloor has given out.
The trailer is a total loss, but there are still precious family items.
Pictures. My stepmother has some cookbooks that are up on the high shelf. Of course, this used to be my dad's chair.
Homes, businesses, cars, schools destroyed.
It's generational. My grandparents went here, my mother went here.
Emanuela Thornsberry now works here, or did. Robinson Elementary in Perry County stood through floods in the past, but now 300 students, including her own kids, are left wondering what's next.
So my daughter, I mean, you know, she's been going here since she was 4. So she is going to be 12 in December. So it's one of those things that it's really took a toll on her.
Downtowns in Whitesburg and Fleming Neon were dealt powerful punches.
Every building downtown, the whole downtown is gone. It's just destroyed.
The old theater with the iconic neon sign, condemned. Clothes inside a nonprofit, mud-soaked. Glass shattered. Cars at a body shop, destroyed. Fleming Neon City Hall was not spared.
We didn't have to bring our key yesterday. We just had to walk through the center section.
Every home on this side of Highway 343 and nearby MacRoberts flooded. 1 week after Don and Melissa Young clutched a railing and a tree to survive, they're salvaging what they can inside their home of 28 years.
If I said that double wide wasn't nothing but a stack of lumber before it was built. That's all it is now. I don't care. I don't care. I'm alive. She's alive.
Ed Southwood lost his home and his vehicles. The water inside his uncle's church almost went to the top of the crucifix. And the old school his parents bought.
Third time it's flooded, and there's no hope of salvaging anything now.
The high water that trapped him on the hill for 2 days without cell phone service is flooding his bridge once again.
After I heard that people had died, everything I lost didn't mean a thing then.
All of this can be replaced tomorrow. A life can't.
Eastern Kentucky has survived hard times, coal booms and busts, economic struggles, natural disasters.
You've got strong, and then you've got Eastern Kentucky strong.
That's why volunteers who lost everything are lifting up their neighbors. Kindness is coming through on every holler.
We got you. And when it comes down to it, they're right there and they got you back.
Make no mistake, we will find the resources and we will rebuild our little communities come hell or high water.
The high water may rise again, but the communities will stay for one simple reason.
It's home. It's home.
And they are determined to rebuild. In Eastern Kentucky, Conroy DeLuche, WDRB News.
The KFC Yum Center is partnering with Pepsi to gather supplies for Eastern Kentucky flood victims. The Fill the Truck supply drive runs next Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Yum Center's Pepsi Plaza. The arena is looking for things like blankets, towels, cleaning supplies, non-perishable food items, shovels, and buckets. The items will all be delivered to the Letcher County Center High School.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
We do have some light rain outside right now, and I will tell you, if you're trying to plan for Street Rod Nationals, what day would, if I was choosing, would I choose? So I'll tell you, I wouldn't choose tomorrow because I think that showers and thunderstorms, especially before midday, are quite likely. Saturday, they're going to be more widely scattered. At the same time, if you catch one, because they're more scattered and we're going to be warmer, the downpours could potentially be heavier. And Sunday, the rain probability comes back, but it gets warmer and it's humid at 91. If you're trying to avoid the rain, my opinion is Sunday would be the best choice of the three, followed by Saturday, and then tomorrow I think carries the biggest problem. And obviously, with a flood watch here, you kind of understand. So this is through Friday at 8 p.m. This was expanded to include the southern part of our area. The only counties not included would be in Indiana and their Lawrence, Jackson, and Jennings. And let me be 100% forthcoming on this. I do not see this as a widespread flood or flash flood scenario. I do think some instances could occur, but I don't think that anybody sees this as a widespread event as things stand. So the sunset this evening was amazing. James DeZern sent this picture in near Salem, Indiana. Exceptional color in the sky in this one. This is just an incredible picture. Parker Richardson sent this in out of Bacon, Indiana. You've got your incredible sunset, and you've got a high arcing rainbow across that sunset. Amazing. We've got rain here in Metro Louisville. You can see a downpour right now in the southern part of Shelby County. Steadier rain from Leopold through Santa Claus. Let's not pretend that's heavy, but we're starting to see an evolution. And this is traditionally where we see rain and thunderstorms that evolve and then move towards Metro in the land between the lakes, and that is exactly what we're seeing. We made it to 90 degrees today after a low of 76, average 89 and 71. Today goes in the books as a slightly warmer than normal day. I think the most important thing when we look at these readings, the dew point. It's high at 71 in Louisville. It's high in New Albany at 71 degrees. And as we move towards Elizabethtown, It is high right now at 72, and I think this is important because this means the showers and even thunderstorms would be efficient rain producers. As far as our temperatures, they have retreated back into lower 70s. That said, we still continue with the higher dew points. And the disturbance we're watching sitting in the western part of Kentucky, just slowly edging eastward. So advanced track, this is the initial. It shows clusters of thunderstorms moving across the area. I would say after 3 to 4 a.m., in my opinion, that would be a more likely time frame. You can see widespread rain, especially south of the river through 1, and then it becomes more isolated in the afternoon. But that said, there's still downpours out there. And then as we move towards Saturday, we still see scattered downpours. Moving towards Sunday, they become more widely scattered. And then what changes on Monday, Tuesday is we get a front. And this should be, again, quite effective at producing generous rainfall in the area. So I want to show you when we put all of this together over the next 7 days, how much. I really feel confident that we'll see 1 to 3 in the next 7 days. Now, in the next 24 hours, some are probably only going to see 1/4 of an inch. Some may be able to get up to 1.5 inches, 2 or more, depending on if you're one of those isolated locations. So we're 72 degrees during the overnight hours tonight. Tomorrow we go to 87 with a 70% chance. It's a 50% Saturday. Sunday carries a 30% and rains very likely on Monday, Tuesday. By the way, the payoff is Thursday. Low humidity at 87 degrees.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
And Scott Reynolds joins us now with a look at what's coming up tonight at 11.
Well, 50,000 doses of fentanyl discovered right here in Louisville.
What scares me about that is that means there's more coming through that we don't catch.
How the deadly drug is impacting the city, plus the death of Breonna Taylor, led to a federal investigation into Louisville's police department. Where that investigation stands and how LMPD is trying to get ahead of it. And the officer shot in the leg during the Breonna Taylor raid talks with WDRB about new federal charges. Hear from John Mattingly coming up tonight in about 18 minutes at 11.
All right, thank you, Scott. We'll see you then. A former Bullitt County deputy sheriff is facing rape charges. 45-year-old Brent Hall was indicted by a grand jury on rape and sodomy charges. According to the indictment, in December of 2020, Hall, quote, engaged in sexual intercourse with another person who was incapable of consent due to being physically helpless. Attorney General Daniel Cameron says the case was investigated by Kentucky State Police. It's not clear if Hall is still working in law enforcement.
LMPD arrested a man they say intentionally ran over 2 people and killed one of them. 54-year-old Robert Hollis was taken into custody today. On July 18th, court records say Hollis got into a fight with one of the victims, then got in his truck and ran 2 people over at Jefferson and 19th in the Russell neighborhood. One of the victims died at the hospital. The other was expected to survive. Hollis faces several charges, including murder and leaving the scene of an accident. Nearly a year after a man was killed in the Portland neighborhood, police have arrested the person they say is responsible. WDRB's Lexi Ratterman tells us eyes in the sky helped track him down.
Bruce Morris is here behind bars after police say he shot and killed a man at a Louisville gas station last August. Surveillance video helped place him at the scene of the crime. 33-year-old Morris faced a judge this morning for the murder charge. That charge stems from an August 18th, 2021 murder at Boone's gas station on North 22nd Street near Bank Street. 37-year-old Dante Hutchings died. During the investigation, investigators say they used surveillance video and matched that to Morris's license and previous booking photos to identify him as the shooter. Someone who knew Morris also confirmed he was the one in the video. When police arrested him yesterday, he had a gun on him illegally since he's a convicted felon. He's charged for that and murder. In court this morning, it was very straightforward. He pleaded not guilty to the charges and was given a $1 million bond. Lexi Ratterman, WDRB News.
Thousands of beagles were rescued from a massive breeding facility, and 30 of them are now at the Kentucky Humane Society. The 15 adult dogs and 15 puppies arrived this evening in Louisville. All of them are female. The 4,000 beagles came from a facility in Virginia. It bred the dogs to sell them to laboratories for animal experimentation.
And we at the Kentucky Humane Society, we're just proud to be able to partner with other organizations and make sure that we save the lives of any animal. But these babies haven't really seen much love in their lifetime, as you can see. I mean, just want some attention and some love and some cuddles.
The beagles will be medically evaluated before they can be put up for adoption.
InfoWars founder Alex Jones now owns millions of dollars in damages to the families affected by the Sandy Hook shooting.
Now the group is pressuring Jones to hand them more evidence in another case altogether.
Plus, WNBA star Brittany Griner ordered to spend almost a decade in a Russian prison. The Biden administration's plan to try and get her back to the United States.
And as we head to break, the Mega Millions jackpot for tomorrow is $36 million. Saturday's Powerball is $20 million.